Hello and welcome to another manga spotlight. Yes, the spotlights are back. Now that Manga Dex is up and running and allowing updates, I can finally get back to the spotlights. And yeah, I found a really interesting series that basically, if anyone out there has ever wondered what it would be like to have a monster girl yandere for a waifu, well, this series pretty much answers that question, and it would freaking suck. You do this like never, you know the saying, never put your you know what in crazy. Well, yeah, just stay away. Like yanderes may like have a certain appeal, but it's not worth it. So yeah, this series is Hachigatsu Kokonoka. I hope I pronounced that right. The English translation is August 9th, I will be eaten by you. And yeah, that's a really weird name for a series, but this is manga, and as we all know, manga usually has really weird names. But yeah, let's get into this. So our main character is, I believe you pronounced it Aoi. I hope that's right. It's Aoi's Sakurai. I'm just gonna call him Sakurai. I believe that's his last name, but it's just easier for me to pronounce. So Sakurai is a teenage boy, and we start off with the flashback where he is in a tunnel surrounded by a bunch of dead women. And there's this creepy girl straddling him, and her name is Miyako. And she basically says, you belong only to me. That's why everyone else had to die. And then we cut to Sakurai, and he's going to a new school, and he's kind of outcast. Everyone basically tries to stay away from him. He doesn't really talk. The last time he talked was when he was doing the introduction, like the self-introduction. Hasn't said anything. He's kind of creepy, and everyone's like, you know why? It's because, the last time he was, the last school he was at, like all his classmates were killed, and he was the only one that survived. So people kind of like blame it on him, or they kind of assume that he's bad luck. And yeah, we get just more flashbacks of more people being killed, like just brutally being murdered. And then we see Miyako just like covered in blood, and she's like, I'll kill them all for you. So we have one girl, Ueda. She kind of like touches Sakurai, and he freaks out, and she basically is like, hey, we're friends, aren't we? Like, there's something bothering you, right? Let's talk about it. Sakurai is basically freaking out because Ueda is talking about how like the kids are mentioning this girl who showed up, and as she's describing the girl, Sakurai is like, oh crap, it's Miyako. It's the girl who keeps killing everybody around me. So Ueda basically says like, hey, I can help you out. Follow me to this abandoned school building. And Sakurai does, because he is an idiot, I guess. And basically Ueda starts stripping her clothes off and says like, Miyako, this is a woman that keeps getting in my way. She's been watching over you longer than I have for so many years, but I don't get to choose the order of these things. Look at me, let us become one. And you think, oh, this is going to be like some kind of like sexy time stuff, right? No, she basically turns into a giant centipede woman and tries to kill and eat Sakurai. When Miyako shows up, we have this battle where Miyako just basically freaks out because she's like, Ude, like you gave my Sakurai a scar on his cheek. Like, I'm not going to forgive you. You deserve a painful death. And so, yeah, we just have her basically trouncing the centipede woman. And basically, throughout all this, she's telling Sakurai, like, you're mine. It doesn't matter if they're inhuman monsters. You're mine, and I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to watch over you. Because the stalkers are following you, and I have to stop them. And then basically the stalkers are the monsters in this series. Usually, like she describes them like, usually people call them yokai or specters, or people call them demons or ghosts, but they're basically stalkers. I love you and they're after you, so anyone who becomes an obstacle to my love for you has to die. And yeah, she basically brutally kills the centipede woman. Like, she impales her multiple times, like, into the wall, and basically tells Sakurai, like, I love you so much, like, I'm gonna be with you always, like, you're never gonna get away from me again. And don't even try to like get away because the stalkers will get you. And Sakurai looks out the window and there's a bunch of these demonic beings like just watching them and waiting for their chance to get at Sakurai. And yeah, the next issue. So basically, I'm gonna go over like the first two chapters. So the next chapter, we have Sakurai waking up in his bed to Miyako straddling him, and basically we get some of the like obsessive traits from her. Like she's borrowing his clothes and like smelling them, and she's cooking for him, and Sakurai is like freaking out. He's like, I gotta get away from this woman. So he goes towards the door when giant monster fingers slip through the mail slot and try to grab at him. So Miyako grabs the fingers and snaps them. And basically he's like, well, it looks like that monster ran off. Come on, let's have some breakfast. And as they're having breakfast, Sakurai basically explains like, people consider us spirits or urban legends, but all that we are aware of is that we are merely remnants of what we once were. So all these people, all these stalkers were actually once humans. And we don't find this information out in this chapter. This comes across later on. But basically, these stalkers are all gunning for Sakurai. And the reason for is because Sakurai has this like pheromone. He has this poison substance in his body that kills stalkers if they eat them. And the stalkers want to die. It's really twisted and effed up. So basically, the reason why all these stalkers are hunting him to try to kill him is because they want to eat him so that they can die themselves. Because they don't want to live this life anymore. They don't really want to be a stalker. They want to move on with their life and go to heaven or hell or whatever it is that they go to after their death, in a sense. So yeah, everyone's basically trying to eat him so that they can die themselves. It's really like messed up and twisted. Yeah, basically during this conversation where Miyako is like talking about the stalkers, Sakurai freaks out, grabs chopsticks and is about to stab Miyako. He basically tells her like to shut up, otherwise I'm gonna kill you. And Miyako is basically like, I'll do anything for you. If you want to kill me, do it. Just make sure you remember me. So it's like, he breaks down into tears and she's like, I'm always going to be with you. And she basically follows him to school where he tells her like, you got to stay out here. Like you can't come inside. And she's basically like, all right, I'll wait here for you. But like, I'm going to protect you. Like I'm always going to be by your side. You're never going to be away from me. You're never going to make me go away for good. And as he leaves, she basically like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's almost like she just has like an orgasm. She's basically just like, he's tempting. Like even when he gets angry, like I want to eat him up. And yeah, basically, she smells another stalker inside the school, and then it ends with like, once again on August 9th. August 9th approaches. I don't know what the thing about August 9th is. I mean, it's the name of the title. I guess that's when Miyako might be allowed to eat him, or maybe that's when the stalkers will be allowed to eat him. But then that doesn't make sense because other stalkers are trying to eat him already. Or maybe they're just trying to kidnap him so that they can eat him later. This story, I don't know if it's the writing itself or if it's the translation. It can get a little bit confusing. I mean, the translation seems to be fine. Like it's grammatically correct. Like if you read it individually, it makes sense. So I'm thinking it's just like more of like a writing thing where there's not like a lot of exposition. And it can get just a bit confusing, especially like I binge read it, and I was still a little like, okay, what exactly is going on? But the basic gist is kind of what I told you. When people die, they can become a stalker, and they can become a stalker basically like if they're dying and they don't, there's something that they haven't achieved or whatever, then like they can allow like it's almost like this entity to can like take over them, or they can become this entity, and they become a stalker, and we see. It's not like just like ghosts or like werewolves or like beastmen or stuff like that. We even have like the 8 foot tall woman shows up later on. What's her name? Hachigatsu. It turns out that Sakurai like befriended her as a small child, and she basically wants him. Like she's in love with him. It's kind of confused because like she's in love with him, but there's hints that she wants to like. How should I phrase this? She wants to grape him. Just get rid of the G. and eat him herself. It's weird. It's this weird twisted. I don't even like. It's labeled like a horror romance, and yeah, it's this weird thing where these stalkers basically they want to become one with Sakurai. They want to like molest him, love him, but they also want to eat him. Like that's how they believe that they can show their love is by eating him. And by eating him, they will ingest the poison that's in his body and kill themselves. So it's this whole weird, twisted, effed up story going on. So yeah, if you ever want to like read a story about a main character who has a monster girl, Yandere waifu, multiple ones who are trying to kill him but also keep him safe, and also trying to eat him but also trying to love him, and just a lot of contradictory things, yeah, this is a story for you. So it's weird, it's wild, but I do enjoy it. The art is freaking fantastic, and yeah, this is like my kind of horror. Like I love this series, so yeah, I recommend checking it out. Once again, the name of the series is Hachigatsu Kokonoka, aka August 9th, I will be eaten by you. And I will leave a link to where you can read this on Manga Dex in the description below. But yeah, anyone reading this series? If so, what do you guys think? And if you're not, has this video made you want to go check it out? I mean, it's free, so might as well give it a shot. See if it's, you know, your kind of thing. But yeah, it's good to finally be back and doing manga spotlights. If you guys got any recommendations for manga, any recommendations for comics. When I say comics, it doesn't have to be ongoing. It can be like golden age comics, silver, bronze, you know, comics from the 90s, whatever. It would be better if you guys can give me like a one issue thing, just because that would be easier to do, or just maybe like if it's like a small like 3-issue arc or something. If it's an old comic. If it's like an ongoing thing, then it can be anything. But yeah, if you got any recommendations for manga, let me know. Comics, let me know. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and hope to see you next time. Later. So what'd you guys think of that video? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit that bell for a notification, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't enjoy the video, thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next video is more to your liking. Feel free to check out the playlist that you guys see, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.